Now, Transnet operations also became a feature at the 2025 Investing in Africa Mining Indaba. Board Chair Andile Sangqu spoke to business editor Xolani Mbanjwa about the role of logistical efficiency in the mining sector.
As an important player in this sector, what have been the big lessons about the importance of social licenses to operate and making sure that mines do leave a good legacy in their communities?
I think let's start unpacking the word license. I think that is a word loaded with a lot of meaning, and it will also help us to get a good insight about what needs to be done, what are the lessons, and where to from here. The word license assumes and is predicated on an understanding that the person that has been granted the license, even if it's a social license, in the first instance, he has to fulfill certain obligations. In the case of a mining company, there are certain obligations in the first instance that need to be negotiated with the stakeholders, which need to be agreed upon and which need to be fulfilled. So the first thing then is that to have a mechanism that begins to monitor, track the progress against those set objectives, to make sure that they are delivered and to make sure that there is constant update and feedback on what the undertakings were. And so communication, dialogue is a very important aspect of that. The second part is that, like any other license, you have to renew it. In other words, it means that then you have to continuously reaffirm your commitment, to those obligations. Also, that those obligations change. So whatever might have been negotiated and agreed upon as a condition of license in 2020, we are now in 2025. So the stakeholders need to get together, renegotiate, reframe, reprioritize what is important. And the other thing that is very important with these license obligations is that they have to have an end state in mind. In other words, there has to be a very clear objective of what the legacy would look like, what good would look like, so that one day when the resources are depleted, there is something that the communities and the stakeholders in general will be able to leverage.
Mr. Sangqu, I have to ask you this question. You operate as a company on a global level. Let's talk about what your thoughts are in terms of what impact the US President Donald Trump comments on South Africa and what he has done in imposing some tariffs, and that could lead to some tariff war. What do you make of all of that, not only for South Africa, but global trade?
I don't believe in war. Let's just start there. So I think what is the lesson here is for all of us to sit around the table and negotiate what is workable, for everybody. I always go back to South Africa and say that new South Africa is a real product of negotiation and a negotiated settlement. So I think we need to come down, reflect on all of this thing and find something that works for everybody in the end.
Mr. Sangqu, thank you very much for your time. Come down, find something that works for everybody, and just as it goes for the social licenses to operate for the mining sector and their obligations to communities in which they operate, he says that there needs to be negotiation and constant communication as well. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Xolani Mbanjwa in Cape Town.